Welcome back, everyone, to another deep dive. Today we're looking at Brookfield Infrastructure and their potential role in this exciting new world of AI.
Yeah.
We're going to be looking at a recent article from the Motley Fool, a pretty well-known source of investment information targeted at, individual investors. So
Yeah.
we're on a mission here to figure out, if this company is worth your investment dollars, especially, as this AI infrastructure thing really starts to take off.
Right. And I think one of the most interesting things about Brookfield Infrastructure is that they aren't new to infrastructure, right? They've already got a really impressive track record over the past 15 years. They've been growing their dividends at a rate of 9% annually.
Wow.
Which, that adds up to over $10 billion returned to investors. So
Yeah.
That's pretty impressive.
Yeah, no kidding. They have a solid history of success. But what really caught our attention is a recent statement from Brookfield CEO Sam Pollock about the future of AI infrastructure. He sees an $8 trillion market opportunity.
Yeah.
In just the next 3 to 5 years.
It's a pretty eye-popping number.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it really speaks to the fact that AI is going to, completely change the game, across pretty much every industry.
Right.
And it makes you wonder how Brookfield, known for their investments in things like electricity and timberlands, how are they going to make their mark in this new landscape?
Well, the article points out, Brookfield's already been evolving beyond those traditional infrastructure plays.
Yeah.
Right? They've been expanding into data infrastructure. They're acquiring assets like data centers, telecom towers, fiber optic networks, all, the basic building blocks of our digital world.
Yeah. And I think that's, a really important point to consider. Brookfield hasn't been sitting still. They've been strategically building a portfolio that makes sense, one that puts them in a good position to capitalize on this AI boom when it happens.
Yeah, and their growth projections definitely reflect that, right? I mean, they have a record backlog, like almost $8 billion.
Wow.
In new organic growth projects. And a lot of that is focused on data infrastructure, right? For example, they're investing $3.9 billion in a U.S. semiconductor facility.
Right.
And another $1.2 billion for global data center expansion.
Yeah, those are some big investments. And I think it really shows that they're serious about this. They're really putting their money where their mouth is when it comes to AI infrastructure.
Right.
But there's also this other interesting detail that we found in the article.
Okay.
This concept of a shadow backlog.
A shadow backlog? What is that?
Yeah, basically it's an additional $4 billion.
Oh, wow.
Worth of projects that they expect to develop over the next few years. So you can kind of think of it as their bonus round of potential growth, right? It gives even more confidence in their future prospects.
Yeah, I see. So it definitely paints a picture of continued, maybe even like accelerated growth, as AI becomes more prominent. It seems like they're not just reacting to, the AI wave, but they're actually riding it strategically.
Yeah, exactly.
But what I find really interesting is their strict investment criteria. It's not like they're, just chasing any shiny new AI project,
Right.
They have a very specific framework, for evaluating where they put their money.
Well, and that's, that framework is really key to understanding, how Brookfield operates, right? They're looking for investments that are, essential to society and the economy.
Of course.
They want strong partners.
Right.
They want long-term contracts, stable cash flow.
Right.
And, really importantly, they want limited technological risk.
Right.
So basically, they're looking for those, kind of stable and reliable growth opportunities.
Yeah, it makes you wonder, like, how these criteria, which are usually applied to traditional infrastructure, might actually give them a unique advantage.
Yeah.
In the AI space.
Right.
Compared to other companies that are maybe more, more focused on short-term gains.
Yeah, it's a really good observation. And I think, it's almost like they're taking their disciplined long-term investment approach and applying it to a field that can sometimes feel like a gold rush.
Yeah, I get it.
Like everybody's trying to get in there and get rich quick, and they're like, no, we're gonna be smart about this.
Yeah, exactly. And that actually brings us to another key point, right? Which is Brookfield's financial strength. I mean, they have, $4.6 billion in liquidity.
Yeah.
And they're planning to generate another $5 to $6 billion over the next 2 years.
Wow.
Through something called capital recycling, which is basically, selling off some of their older assets to free up cash for these new opportunities in AI.
Right. It's like they're constantly optimizing. They're always make sure that they have the resources to invest in the most promising areas of growth.
Yeah.
Which raises an interesting question, right? I mean, can they allocate all this capital effectively?
Right.
Can they really become a leader in this space?
Well, the Motley Fool seems to think so. They have, a pretty bullish outlook. They're projecting annual FFO, which is a key financial metric for these companies.
Funds from operations?
Funds from operations, thank you. To grow over 10%.
Wow.
Which could support, a 5 to 9% annual dividend increase.
Right.
So that could lead to some pretty nice returns for investors.
Yeah, it sounds really promising, but I think it's important to remember that the Motley Fool, while it's a great source, is really just, one voice in the conversation. So as always, do your own research, consider all sides of the story.
Right.
Before making any investment decisions.
Of course.
So I'm curious, as we've been kind of diving into this, what resonates with you the most so far?
Well, I think what's really fascinating to me is their commitment to, steady long-term growth.
Right.
Even as they venture into, a dynamic field like AI, it's like they're bringing a sense of stability and discipline, to a sector that can often feel, really unpredictable.
That's a really good point. And it makes you wonder, right? I mean, could this approach, combined with their existing expertise in infrastructure, could that actually give them an edge over newer players in the AI space?
Exactly. I mean, that's what makes this exploration so interesting, right? We're not just looking at, a company. We're looking at a potential investment opportunity that could actually, play a role in shaping, the future of AI. But let's maybe shift gears a bit here and delve deeper into some of the specific areas within AI infrastructure that Brookfield is targeting.
So, we keep talking about this $8 trillion figure, right?
Yeah.
I mean, all that money has to go somewhere.
Right.
It paints this picture of a massive ecosystem, opportunities that, go way beyond just like those big data centers that we usually picture.
That's true. It makes you realize AI infrastructure is much broader than we might think.
Yeah.
So where else do they see potential?
Well, just think about it for a second.
Okay.
Those data centers, they need massive amounts of energy to operate.
Mm-hmm.
And, where's that energy going to come from?
Yeah.
It needs to be reliable.
Of course.
It needs to be sustainable.
Right.
So I think there's a huge opportunity here in renewable energy infrastructure, which, Brookfield already has experience in.
Right. Of course. And what about the actual brains of AI, right? Those semiconductor chips that power all the complex computations.
Exactly, yeah. The demand for those high-powered chips, it's only going to increase as AI gets more sophisticated.
Yeah.
And Brookfield is already making moves in this area. Remember that $3.9 billion investment?
Right.
In a U.S. semiconductor facility that we mentioned before.
Yeah. So it's like they're not just providing the physical space for AI, they're also investing in the technology that actually drives it.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, it's like they're building the foundation from the ground up.
Right. Yeah.
And we can't forget about the networks that connect everything.
Yeah.
AI relies on fast, reliable data transmission.
Of course.
So, investments in fiber optic networks, 5G infrastructure, even satellite communication, all of that becomes super important.
It really does seem like they're positioning themselves strategically, across all these different segments of the AI ecosystem.
Yeah.
Right. It's not about, putting all their eggs in one basket.
Right.
It's about creating a diverse portfolio that can, thrive as AI evolves.
Exactly. Yeah. And if we kind of go back to their investment criteria,
right?
Remember, they prioritize things like long-term contracts,
yeah,
stable cash flow,
yeah,
all qualities that make them really well suited for this kind of infrastructure play.
It's really interesting how they're bringing that, that traditional infrastructure mindset to this new frontier. But wouldn't you say there are some, some inherent risks in investing in AI, right? I mean,
Right.
it's evolving so rapidly.
Yeah.
What's cutting edge today might be obsolete tomorrow.
Yeah, and that's a totally valid concern, and I think that's where their focus on limited technological risk really comes into play. They're not betting on any one specific AI technology or company.
Right.
Instead, they're investing in the underlying infrastructure that supports the entire ecosystem.
So they're not trying to pick the winners, so to speak, in the AI race. Right. They're building the racetrack itself.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I think that's that's a smart approach, right?
Yeah.
It allows them to benefit from the overall growth of AI, regardless of which specific technologies or companies end up dominating.
This makes their focus on high barriers to entry even more interesting. They're not looking to jump into crowded markets,
right?
Where there's tons of competition.
Right.
They want to be in spaces, where there are limited competitors, where there's a clear path to sustainable profits.
Yeah. And I think, that really speaks to their long-term vision, right?
Yeah.
They're not chasing quick wins. They're building a portfolio of assets that can generate consistent returns for years to come.
So if we kind of zoom out and look at the big picture here.
Yeah.
Brookfield is positioning themselves to be, a major player
Mm-hmm.
in the AI revolution, not by developing the AI technologies themselves, but by providing the essential infrastructure that will power the AI economy of the future.
Yeah, and that's a fascinating perspective, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
They're not betting on any one specific company or technology. They're betting on the infrastructure that's going to support the entire ecosystem.
As they're saying, we don't know exactly how this is going to unfold,
right?
But we know it needs a strong foundation to thrive.
Exactly. Yeah, and for investors, this could be a really compelling opportunity.
Yeah.
Right. Instead of trying to pick the winning AI companies, which is incredibly difficult.
Right.
They can invest in the infrastructure that will underpin the whole thing. It's almost like providing the picks and shovels during a gold rush.
Right. Yeah.
You might not strike gold yourself,
Yeah.
but you'll benefit from everyone else's efforts.
Yeah, that's a great analogy. But, let's be realistic here for a second.
Sure.
I mean, there's no such thing as a risk-free investment, right?
Correct.
Even with, what seems like a pretty sound strategy, are there any potential downsides we should be thinking about?
Well, yeah, of course. I mean, every investment has some level of risk, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think in Brookfield's case, one potential downside is just the sheer scale and complexity
Mm-hmm.
of these AI infrastructure projects. I mean, we're talking about massive undertakings,
Right.
often requiring huge upfront investments.
Yeah.
And long lead times, before they start generating returns. So, there's always a possibility of cost overruns, delays, unforeseen challenges, that kind of thing.
Right, right. And we also can't forget about, the regulatory landscape, right?
Yeah.
The governments around the world are still trying to figure out how to regulate AI. So there's always a chance of new policies or regulations that could, impact Brookfield's investments.
Absolutely, yeah. Another thing to consider is, competition.
Mm-hmm.
While Brookfield has a great track record, they've got a good strategy. They're not the only ones looking at this market.
Of course, of course.
We've got big tech companies, with a ton of money.
Yeah.
You've got specialized AI startups.
Yeah.
You've even got other traditional infrastructure players. They all want a piece of this pie.
So, it's not a guaranteed win here.
No.
Investors need to be aware of the risks as well as the potential rewards.
Absolutely, yeah. And that's why it's always so important to do your own research,
Right.
Think about your own financial goals.
Yeah.
And really assess your risk tolerance.
Of course.
Before making any decisions. We're not giving financial advice here.
Right.
We're just trying to give you the knowledge and insights you need to make your own informed decisions.
Right. Right. So let's bring this back to you, the listener.
Yeah.
What are your, what are your initial thoughts?
Yeah.
After diving into Brookfield's potential in AI infrastructure.
Right.
Are you intrigued? Are you skeptical? Do you see this as a potential opportunity?
Yeah.
For your own portfolio?
We really encourage you to weigh the pros and cons, consider the risks and rewards, and ultimately make the decision that, makes the most sense for you.
Right.
Remember, there's no right answer here when it comes to investing.
Of course. Of course.
It's all about what's right for, your own individual circumstances.
But regardless of whether you decide to invest in Brookfield or not, I think understanding these trends, the evolving landscape of AI infrastructure, it can really provide valuable insights, for navigating the future of the market. It's pretty fascinating to think about, how Brookfield, a company that started with more traditional infrastructure, is now kind of, positioning itself to be a key player in the AI revolution.
Yeah, it really speaks to, their adaptability and their forward-thinking approach, right?
Yeah.
They've realized that the world is changing and they're evolving to stay ahead of the curve.
And that, that brings us back to that $8 trillion figure that Brookfield's CEO mentioned, which is, still a pretty staggering number.
It is.
And it really underscores the potential scale of this whole AI infrastructure market.
It's a number that, really captures the imagination, and it makes you realize, just how transformative AI is expected to be.
Yeah.
Across pretty much every sector.
But it also raises a question for me.
Okay.
Where is all that money actually going to go?
Yeah.
What are the specific areas within AI infrastructure that are going to, attract those investments?
Right. Well, we've already talked about a few of them. Data centers, energy, semiconductors, networks.
Yeah.
But maybe we can dive a little deeper into those.
Okay. So, data centers are obviously crucial.
Right.
They're the physical locations where all the data processing and storage happens, for all this AI stuff.
Yeah.
But, what makes Brookfield's approach to data centers, stand out from the rest?
Well, I think they're really focusing on sustainability and efficiency.
Okay.
It's not just about building these massive data centers, as quickly as possible.
Right.
They're really thinking about how to design them, in a way that minimizes, their environmental impact and reduces energy consumption.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Given their experience with renewable energy, I mean, they can leverage that expertise to create data centers that are powered by, clean energy sources.
Exactly, yeah. And they're also, exploring some pretty innovative cooling technologies.
Oh, okay.
To reduce the amount of energy that's needed to keep all those servers running.
So they're really thinking about the long-term sustainability of their data centers.
Yeah.
Which aligns with their overall investment philosophy, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so let's move on to semiconductors for a second.
Okay.
We talked about Brookfield's investment in a U.S. semiconductor facility, but why are semiconductors so important?
Yeah, well, they're essentially the brains of these AI systems.
Right.
They're what powers the complex calculations and data processing that make AI possible.
And as AI models become more sophisticated, the demand for these high-powered chips is just going to keep increasing.
Exactly. Yeah, and Brookfield is strategically positioning themselves to be a major player in that market.
So they're not just providing the infrastructure.
No.
They're investing in the actual technology that makes it all work. What about networks?
Right. Well, networks are really the glue that holds the whole AI ecosystem together, right?
Yeah.
I mean, they enable the fast and reliable transmission of data, between data centers, devices, users,
So investing in things like, fiber optic networks, 5G infrastructure, even satellite communication, that becomes pretty crucial then.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah.
And Brookfield is already, making investments in those areas, expanding their portfolio to include, all these essential network assets.
It really does seem like they're, taking a pretty comprehensive approach here.
Yeah.
To AI infrastructure.
Yeah.
They're really covering all the bases.
Mm-hmm.
But, with all these investments and this potential for growth, there's also the question of, competition.
Right.
How does Brookfield stack up against other companies in the AI space?
Yeah, that's a great question. And as we mentioned before, there's no shortage of competition.
Right.
In this market. I mean, you've got big tech companies. They've got a ton of money.
Mm-hmm.
You've got specialized AI startups.
Yeah.
You've got other traditional infrastructure players. They all want a piece of the pie.
So what gives Brookfield an edge then?
Well, I think their long track record in infrastructure definitely gives them a certain level of credibility and expertise.
Yeah.
They've shown that they can adapt, evolve with the times.
Mm-hmm.
They've transitioned successfully from traditional infrastructure to the digital realm.
Mm-hmm.
And I think their disciplined investment approach, focused on long-term value and stability, could actually be a really big differentiator, especially in a market that can often feel like a gold rush.
It's like they're bringing a sense of calm and strategic thinking to a field that can sometimes be pretty chaotic and unpredictable.
Exactly, yeah. And I think that should be a really attractive quality for investors who are looking for stable and reliable growth in the AI space.
So as we kind of wrap up this deep dive into Brookfield Infrastructure, what are the key takeaways for our listeners?
Well, I think the main takeaway is that Brookfield is definitely a company worth keeping an eye on.
Mm-hmm.
They're making some really strategic moves to position themselves as a key player in this AI revolution.
Right.
And their track record, their financial strength, their disciplined approach, all of that suggests they could be well positioned to capitalize on this opportunity.
But as with any investment, it's crucial to do your own research.
Always, yeah.
Consider your individual, financial goals.
Right.
And weigh the potential risks and rewards, before making any decisions.
Absolutely. We've given you the information. We've given you a framework.
Right.
For understanding, their strategy and potential. But ultimately, the decision is yours.
And we encourage you to keep exploring, keep learning about this whole world of AI infrastructure.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a really exciting field, with a ton of potential to really reshape our world.
Absolutely.
Well, thanks for joining us on this deep dive.
Yeah, thanks for listening.
We hope you learned something, gained some valuable insights.
Yeah. And until next time, keep diving deep, fellow explorers.
Yeah, there's a whole universe of knowledge out there
waiting to be discovered.